All right, writers, today is the day. You guys have been filling your brains with so much knowledge about your animals. You've been reading books, you've been looking at pictures, you might have been watching videos or listening to audio recordings. Your brains are probably bursting, right? Now is the time. Today, I am so excited because we finally get to take all of that knowledge that's swimming around in our heads and all of that knowledge that's been in our books that we've been writing down, and we finally get to start writing our own unique perspectives about these animals. That's right. Today is the day we get to start thinking about planning our books. Now, when we start doing this writing, right? We've got a lot of research in our heads, but writers don't go in cold. They don't just like, page one, let me start. No. What writers do first is they think through how their books will probably go. And they typically do this by writing a table of contents. Now, I know you guys have probably seen some tables of contents before, but that's not the only thing that writers do. When writers are doing their writing, they don't just think about their table of contents. They also think, how are each chapter inside of my table of contents going to go? Right? Let me show you what I mean. First of all, I think that we might have to do some table of contents work. So let me think through some things that I've learned about penguins. Might have to look back through my notes really quick. One sec. Okay, I've been learning a lot about. Gotta think, what could I write a chapter about? Well, kinds of penguins. Oh, there's that cool picture about different, like the parts of penguins, and I wrote down all those different parts, so maybe I could write about that. Oh, I did read a section about how penguins are like fierce protectors, so maybe I could do a chapter about like the ways penguins protect their young. Or maybe another chapter about how we could protect penguins. I read that one about information about like the environment. I'm gonna write a little bit of this down. Could you guys do that too? Pause this video here and just off the top of your head, you've done a lot of research already, right? Write down a couple of things that you feel like, oh yeah, I could write a chapter about this for whatever animals or whatever topics you're researching. Go ahead. You back? Great. I wrote down a start to my table of contents. Now, I feel like I probably still need to do a little bit more research, and maybe you do too. And that's totally okay. But look at some of the stuff that I wrote down, right? Here's my table of contents. Now, good writers start here when they're writing information texts, right? Especially when it's all about a topic like penguins or whatever animal or topic you're doing. But good writers don't just stop there. They also think a little bit about, how will this chapter go? And they do this because they want to check to make sure before they start writing that they have enough to write about. Like, it would kind of be a bummer if you like started writing your book and you were like to all your partners, yeah, I'm going to write this chapter, I'm going to write this chapter. And then you kind of realize that I don't have enough to write about. So let me check to make sure I've got enough to write about these. Let me think about kinds of penguins first. Here, let me write down kinds of penguins on my page. Okay, my first page is going to be about kinds of penguins. What are the kinds of penguins? How could I fill this chapter? Okay, well, I've done a little bit of reading, right? There's the king penguin. Could definitely write about that. I could write about the emperor penguin. I read a lot about that inside of my research. There's the one penguin that's like, I think it's like a macaroni penguin. Okay, so I've got a couple types of penguins. I feel like I could write about this. You know what, though? I'm going to do something else that good writers do when they're planning. I'm going to make sure that I have this in the order that I want to write about that in. What good writers do is usually they start with the thing that they know a lot about first. I feel like off the top of my head, I could probably talk a lot about emperor penguins. I'm going to write about those first, and then maybe I'll do king penguins and then macaroni penguins. I like to end with macaroni penguins, or end with something that's a little bit funny. And I don't know if you've seen a macaroni penguin, but they are hysterical. They have these like little sideburns coming out from their heads. It's really weird. We have to think about that as a writer. Like, what's the big hit we want to start with, and what's the thing that we want to end with too? I did this a little bit with parts of penguins, and I thought about all the different parts that I've done some research on. Maybe you could pause the video here. Help me out. How would you organize these different things that I could talk about with parts of penguins? Maybe we could also ask, do I have enough? Is everything there, or did I forget something? Go ahead and talk with yourself, or maybe help me out here. Like, what order would you put these things in for parts of penguins if I were to write a chapter about it? yeah, maybe you'd start off with the thing that you know most about, right? Like the feathers. And then maybe you'd end with the thing that you thought was the coolest. Like, I mean, I think the flippers are so cool. And then in between, you might put something that helps connect one of them. So, I feel like the body and the flippers, actually, I feel like the feathers and the body are kind of together. And maybe the beak. Um, I don't know if I finished here. Maybe I need to add another part here about feet too, because I know that they have some weird feet, the little legs that they walk around on. Friends, do you see what I did? I planned out my chapters. And after I planned them out, I didn't stop there. I actually planned out how my chapters would go, and I checked to make sure that I have enough to write about in each of my chapters. That's what good writers do. So today, you've already got a couple of your chapters. You probably paused and wrote down a little bit of a table of contents. I want you guys to flesh out your chapters, right? Make sure that you have enough. Go back to your notes if you have to. Like, check and see, do I have the research to back this up? Can I write enough about this? Do I know enough about this part to do it? Now, the cool thing about this is, friends, you might be working with your partners. And if you are, that's fantastic. That means that you get an opportunity to kind of divide and conquer. So first, start off by making sure that you're all coming up with table of contents together, but maybe you guys can talk to each other. And by the end of today, you might even start to think about which chapters you want to take control of inside of your group. If you guys have similar chapters, maybe you guys present which way you want those chapters to be organized. But regardless, today you're going to want to walk away with at least a couple of options of some table of contents that you can present to your groups and the way that each of those chapters could go. All right, this is a lot of organizational work, but I promise you, it is going to help you immensely as you start off on this awesome writing work. I know you have so many ideas. Go ahead and get started. Get those chapters organized, and hey, if you get a little extra time, start drafting them out and see how they go. Best of writing, friends. Bye.